Texas!
He's a 10.
I choose this family.
Hey guys, and welcome to episode 100 of 911 Lone Star Roundup. I'm one of your hosts, EJ, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Katie.
Hey guys.
And Grace.
Hi everyone.
Today we are celebrating 100 episodes. Oh my gosh. So today we just thought we would have like a little celebration and a chill chat. We wanted to talk about the last few years of the podcast, which have led up to our 100th episode. We've had a lot to talk about over these last 200 hours, because most of our podcasts can get kind of lengthy.
Oh my god, yeah. I would love to know like how many hours it actually is. It's funny because like Spotify does like the Spotify Wraps, and like every year there's like obviously like there's not just music, they do a podcast edition. It'll be like, you posted this many hours, and I want to know what it is like total though.
Like overall, I would love to know that. So we're just gonna be kind of a chill, laid back episode. Talk a little bit about our journey. Talk a little bit about some questions that you guys have posed to us either recently or over the years that we haven't had a chance to answer, and talk a little bit about our hopes and dreams for the podcast moving forward. I remember when we first started recording, and like we were having such a problem with like our overlapping voices in some of the earlier recordings. So I'm like, I'm grateful we've come a long way from that.
I love that though, because like I've done lots of things on like social media, and like people are always like, okay, don't like it doesn't matter like if like your first video or your first podcast or first whatever it is like bad. Okay, the first one's going to be bad, it's going to be cringy, you're gonna be like listen to it and be like, what the hell? But like you have to start somewhere, which I love. And like, it was definitely like it wasn't a terrible start, obviously, but like it was an interesting start.
Yeah, we certainly we spent a while getting our footing and working, among ourselves as figuring out our own dynamics and everything. So I definitely know that like I actually stopped listening to our episodes like early on because I just got too self-conscious.
I kind of did too.
Mm-hmm. I just couldn't listen to myself. So I was like, okay, I think I only heard the first like couple episodes. I was like, no, can't do this. So that's funny. But I imagine if I went back and like listened to us now, it'd be very different. Like listening to our first versus our latest, I imagine I would probably get whiplash.
Probably,
yeah. See, like I'm the complete opposite. Like I honestly don't really like get fazed by my voice, or like not even like listening to myself talk, because literally I've been posting things of myself for literally like, oh my god, like literally like almost a decade.
Yeah.
So to me, it literally is nothing. Like I have to listen to myself talk all the time. But like it's weird at first. But like I love it. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, and I think we've all grown more comfortable on the podcast, like speaking, and I know all of us were pretty nervous. Well, I know Grace and I for sure were really nervous about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Katie, you'd had more familiarity of being on podcasts and videos and YouTube stuff, so it wasn't as nerve-wracking for you.
Well, it was in a sense for me, because it was different for me, because I remember like I'm now like I blocked this out. I'm sure I'm just now remembering this, which is really funny, and I actually really like but like I remember like it was weird for me because like I had never like talked in front of people, like if that makes sense. Like when we were recording, we're like talking in front of each other. I remember how weird that was. I was like, I don't know, I can't start this. Like I can't talk. Because like when I was like filming things, I would be alone.
Right.
Like nobody would be watching. And like I have this thing now where I hate when my family like watches videos of me in the room. I'm like, no, you gotta put headphones in or I have to leave, because I hate it. Like so I get why actors, like they say they don't like watching. Some actors are like, I don't like watching things, and people I know are watching it. Like I don't want to watch in front of other people, because I feel that way. Like I don't like, I can't, but like it's natural now, because like when we obviously record now, like it's just natural. Like we're putting this out there, but like it's natural. But I remember at first it was a little weird because I was just like, how do I start this? Like, how do I talk in front of people? Like, while
Right.
they're in the same room as me? Well, sort of. So I remember that being super weird.
Yeah, I feel like just all of this was an adjustment period too, because I know
For
for me
sure.
as well, this like was my first. It was my first real foray into fandom. Like
Mhm.
being heavily involved in a fandom to this
Yeah.
extent, and that's it was daunting at
Right.
first, but then now we've been doing this for what, coming on 3 years ish.
Yeah.
And definitely have grown a lot as a person, figured out where I like rest in the fandom bit, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm much more comfortable around you guys. So to some
Right.
degree, I block out that other people are even going to listen to this, and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna like chill for
Yeah.
a while and
Which
talk
is
about a show
Yeah.
we love.
Yeah, which is good because that's kind of what we want, like this to be a casual conversation among friends that we're sharing with other people, you know?
Mhm.
Right. And I want that for everyone else that's like listening. I want it to be like, you're just talking with friends.
Yeah, like you're
Mhm.
overhearing our conversation in the other room or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like, no judgment if you like decide to interject your own thoughts, and well, even if we're not there to hear them.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, and Grace, you mentioned it too. Like we've all gotten more comfortable around each other. It's crazy to think that just we only met like 2 or 3 months prior to like actually starting the podcast. So it's
Yeah.
not like, I mean, we were friends, but it wasn't like we had known each other for years and had decided to do this. We'd only known each other months.
I know. I don't know if people like realize that. And I was honestly thinking about that before we started recording. I was like, I don't know if people realize that we had only known each other for literally like I think like 3 months before we even started
Yeah, it was something like that.
recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's wild to even think about now because I'm like, wait, that's honestly crazy. And like it had gotten to the point where we were literally talking, like we were already like talking on Zoom like once a week anyways, and we'd had
Mhm.
full-blown conversations about the show where we're like, maybe
Right.
we should actually share this with the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we should actually make this like, happen, like not just for us. So like, I don't know, it's just weird to think about and stuff. And obviously as
Yeah.
we were recording, we became like closer friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it while we were recording, especially like, that first like season recording, but
Right.
for season 2.
Yeah, like we definitely grew to know each other through this. And yeah, it's just amazing how far we've come.
Yeah, I definitely consider you guys best friends. I feel
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Oh yeah, same.
I can chat with you guys about anything, which is awesome. And it's happened for me with some other people in the fandom, like not specifically the Lone Star fandom, but in
Oh yeah,
others that I've
same.
been involved with, I've met some really amazing people that are like super close with me now. And, even if I'm not in that fandom anymore, I'm still close with them.
Mhm.
And it's just awesome. And I know there's always those horror stories of like,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
don't meet people online because they're crazy, but it's just different now. We have Zoom and like we're on like video, so it's not like we're can't see who each other are.
Right.
Is
Right. This isn't like 2000 where you're in a chat room and you're like, might be a sketchy person.
Maybe.
Like this is like a whole different, like it's a whole different world like these days. Like,
And we have to remember that when we met, it was in 2020.
Yeah.
So not only were we states away from each other, there was literally no other option to meet.
right.
We were still all in quarantine then.
Right.
And so like for us, meeting online had become the norm. I know
Yeah.
definitely for me, it was normal,
Yeah.
So I think we're definitely blessed to have been in a different era of that than
Right.
like trying to do this before then. The pandemic did one thing right. It was enable us to meet each other.
Right. It
Amen.
was like perfect
Yeah.
timing.
Only thing it
Yeah.
did right, but
Right.
we'll take it.
And so, so we met. I scrolled back in my Instagram messages with Katie because she was the first person I made the connection with. And
Right.
like the first time, and I was like, I remember sharing with her back in September of 2020. It was like early on. I think it was just after my birthday, about how I was thinking about signing up for a Zoom account because we were starting to use it for all sorts of church things, and like nobody wanted to pay for it. So I was like, well, maybe I'll pay for one, and like, what am I going to do with it for the rest of the time? So I reached out and I was like, hey, I'd love to chat with fans. And then like, it just kind of grew from there. And the next thing you know, we're all chatting.
I know,
awesome.
which was super intimidating because like I don't know, like I'm shy. I think we're all a little bit shy, but like I'm very shy that like I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be so like weird. Like I've never literally met anybody like this, but like now I wouldn't change it for the world, obviously. But it's just it's so weird thinking about.
Right.
Oh, definitely. I remember the first meeting, if my memory serves me correctly, I think we met just after not Smiley Face. No Escape came out.
Yes, I remember that.
It was just before our first meeting that I watched the episode.
I remember that.
So you know, I'd watched that. That's what marks it very vividly in my mind. Like, I don't remember the date, but I remember like the day. I remember it was a Sunday, and I remember I watched it the day after it came out, and that was the day of our first meeting. And I remember like going on to this meeting because you know I'd been invited to, because I don't remember how old my fan account was at this time, but I'd been invited onto this group chat. I don't remember who invited me even. I don't remember if it was one of you guys or someone else.
I think it might have been one of us because like I remember posting on my Instagram story being like, okay, so like we're gonna do like a Zoom like for like, you know, for the fandom, like if anybody wants to join, like just say yes and I'll like add everyone in the group chat. But then like not everyone in the group chat wanted to. They just like, because I think at first we were just like talking, like I just made like a group, and like not everyone that was in the group actually ended up like being there.
Yeah.
And obviously the group got smaller as I got in.
Yeah, which you know happens. Like,
which it does.
It honestly works out for the better.
But I remember vividly, you know, getting onto the first meeting. I was like, what am I doing?
Same.
I am meeting with a whole bunch of people I have never met before. What happened to Stranger Danger?
Stranger Danger.
I know.
I love it.
Like, because like it's different when you literally message everyone online, but like when you're literally like they can see you can see them. It's freaking weird.
I was like, what am I doing? What's
right?
And like, you know, never could have dreamed that you know, our kind of friendship would happen, or that this podcast would happen because of it. But look where we landed.
Yeah, looks like we made it. Well, yes. So we talked a little bit about us, and I want to talk a little bit about the podcast because there's been some huge like milestones for us. Even that we got when was the first time we got to meet Ronan together?
I think it was December 2020. Yeah, December 2020.
Yeah. Okay. So it was like we had just started the podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember, and I'll never forget this. Like I'll never forget this, but I remember like I forget like Ronan had said something like, oh, like Katie, I saw like YouTube videos of like you reacting to like the Lone Star trailers. I think he just said Lone Star, but even so, that's what it was, if anybody's curious. And I remember being like, oh my god, and then like I don't
know, you just like froze on the screen, but your screen didn't freeze. You just kind of like froze.
You just froze.
I don't see how I love how you guys can like give like your point of view of this too. So that happened, and then like I think in the videos I mentioned the podcast, so I think that's how he got to that, because then he's like, oh, so there's a podcast or something along the lines of that, and I was like, okay. And then it was great because then like I think 2 other times after that we did a meeting with him, and I remember the one before it was before season 3 aired, but it was like right before season 5 of OG aired. And I remember like 2 things. I remember him talking about the animals and like stuffing on the street, and then I remember him being like, oh, so when's the podcast coming back or something like that.
That's right. I remember that.
And I still have the videos somewhere of this.
Yeah.
and stuff
I
because
know
like
it's
they gave
such
us
a
the
bummer that
videos.
they were like, you can't post this, but you can
I
have it.
know, you guys.
Like, I get it.
You guys, if we could post this, I would in a heartbeat. I feel like it's stupid because I feel like you should, because we literally, if even if they charged a little bit more to buy the rights of it, I feel like they should have let us buy the rights. Because like we just want to share it. Like, what are we gonna do with it? It's not like we're gonna sell it for like money.
Right. And the first few Dream It cons, they didn't offer the purchase of the videos, but then like later on in 2021, they were like, oh yeah, if you want to do this.
I think because people begged then too, pretty much.
Yeah. So then we were like, right after, we're like, oh, do we want to? And so we like split the payment, and like it was pretty inexpensive, but
right, especially since we split it, since it was like all three of us and like only one person, obviously, because it only made sense that one person bought the video. Like, why would all three of us buy the video when it's literally the same thing? You know, we're gonna like text it to each other.
Yeah. It's amazing memories. I definitely have them saved in like 4 different locations.
I know. I'm pretty sure.
I've got to dig them up. I know I have them. I just don't remember where I have them.
Same. I know it's on a flash drive somewhere. I just don't know.
I need to save it to a flash drive to make sure.
And I think it's on my Google like photos. I think it's on there.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I ever got as far as that. I think for the most part, I just saved it to like my email. So I need to like save it to a more secure location. Yes. Yeah. But truly, that was such a special time.
Yeah. And so I did the August 2020 Dream It Con one-on-ones with Rafa and Ronan, and the October ones. And then we did the December one together. So you guys have you guys met Rafa yet?
No. I never met Rafa.
I didn't either. And it breaks my heart because, okay, so this is kind of funny now. Okay, so like I wasn't going to do like the October one because I was like, no, I cannot do this. I cannot talk to him. Like, I can't do it. And I wasn't going to do it. But I remember you guys convinced me. They're like, come on, Katie, just do it. And I'm not going to lie, my first conversation with Ronan was so freaking awkward because I was so freaking awkward. Like, I honestly think about it every once in a while. I'm like, that was a little cringe, but like, you know, you got to start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. I remember my first one-on-one with him. I was like so nervous. I'm like, what am I doing?
I know there were definitely silences for mine, and I was like, I couldn't help it. Like, I was just like, it's TK. Come on.
All right.
He will always be. It'll be like 30 years from now, and he will forever be TK. Same with Rafa. He'll forever be Carlos. Like, I will never call them anything else. Like, I think we all as a fandom can agree on that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
I love what they do.
Yeah, and I love that Ronan, you know, I think he acknowledged us as the podcast girls at some point.
Oh yeah, so I started using that. Changes our group name to the podcast girl. Watch me do it.
No one's stopping you.
Yeah, no one's stopping you.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll know when it changes on my phone. Yeah, so you guys should see our text threads. We have some interesting conversations for sure.
Sometimes I think a couple times I posted them. It was like there was like this trend a while ago. It was like pay $20,000 or show your photos, and it's half of them were like our screenshots.
Oh yeah, like I've gone through screenshots before, and I've just had roles. So okay, not our text messages, but like when I was operating like my fan account more, because I haven't really been on there for a long time. I've had other stuff take priority, but like when I was operating my fan account, I just remember most of my screenshots for that time period is just screenshots of their Insta stories. And I'm like, listen, this would be really hard to explain to anyone who looks through my phone.
So most of mine are literally Lone Star related, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wait.
Oh my god.
Literally most of them are Lone Star.
Oh my gosh. So so I used to have one storage system on like digital storage system, and then I transferred to a different storage system that has a little more bells and whistles and a little more sorting capabilities. So when all of my photos from my phone got uploaded, there's actually more photos on there of Ronan and Rafa than there are of me.
That's like mine. every time so after the season's over, sometimes I won't keep the photos on there for long, but I'll just airdrop them to my iPad. And so like my whole iPad, I guarantee, is like all just mostly like anything that happened in One Star. And this is what I don't like about Google Photos. It's like every time you open the app, it just puts everything on there. So like
Yeah.
I'll have to go through and delete them out of there. But it'll be like, this is from Lone Star. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, you guys both have iPhones, so you're gonna know what I'm talking about. You know when you go into iPhotos,
Yeah.
and you go into a certain part where it brings up repeating faces.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know this person? That kind of thing. I have two different sections for Rhoda and Rafa. I'm like,
me too.
Do we want to talk like technically speaking, or
oh my
Yeah, I
god,
know, right?
no! I literally on one of my drives, I have literally a Ronan folder. This is like during season 1, and a Rafa folder.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I did too.
Right. Yeah. I think I know you save like pretty much everything they post, or were saving a lot of it. I don't know if you still are, Katie, but then you'd sometimes send us a story that they'd post if we like weren't online or didn't see it.
Yeah.
Or like one of us would see something and then we're like, oh, and you're like, I was just about to post that or share that with you guys.
I know. It's yeah, I don't as much as I used to. Like I literally used to make full YouTube videos of like I forget what I used to call it. Like I don't even remember. But I don't really do that anymore because A, it takes time, and B, I just don't really have that time, and also like I don't know, I just don't post like everything like I used to.
Yeah.
I feel like that was just the time. Like I had more time back then.
Right.
No, not
Yeah.
so much. Like I still post things. Like anybody that follows me knows I'm literally not necessarily on Instagram because I don't really post that much on there, but like I literally talk about everything. Like I'm like I joke that like Lone Star is my major personality. It's literally it's all I talk about.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, that's why we follow you, because you literally post about everything.
Right. Yeah. And then, we kind of also pulled in for an episode. We had TJ on. That's fun.
True. We did have TJ on.
I know that was so long ago, but like also feels like it was just yesterday.
Yes.
It was a great time.
It was a really great time. I remember that.
I know, and he was just in his local newspaper. It's like, wow.
I know, I saw that.
I saw that. I was like, oh my god, it's so cool.
It is so cool.
Oh,
yeah, it's very cool.
We want to have him on and more guests. I know for sure, but I don't know when we'll be able to.
I know.
We'll have to look at schedules and stuff and figure out what we're doing.
Right, yeah, because there's people I'm friends with that I would love to come on if they wanted to.
Yeah, same
and
here.
Like it would just be fun to do that, even if it was for like a smaller segment. Like if it wasn't necessarily like the whole episode. Like it'd be fun to like make us. Like it'd be fun to make a segment in an episode for those kind of things.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Because it would be really fun and like fun to connect with more people. I feel like during this season of both the shows, I've connected with like way more people. Like one of my friends and we did lives like pretty much every week for Lone Star. I know she did them for like OG, but I like that was a whole nother world. I was just like it was very intimidating because I don't know. It's always different when you talk to new people, and I'm just like, okay, this is weird.
Right.
Like this is like this all over again.
Yeah. I don't. Well, yeah. I mean, I have a couple of people who watch the series, so I'm sure people would be open to coming on or redoing a segment. And I just think that's logistics because the three of us sometimes have a hard time figuring out when we're going to connect. We've at least gotten one day a week that we're going to record. And I miss watching the episodes with you. Like this past season, not being able to was a bummer. Yeah, and I know. Yeah. Like, that is like one thing I want to like hopefully get back to is either watching them together or at least every other, because I know we wanted to watch the wedding together. We might have to like figure out this summer somehow to do it just together.
I know, like we tried, like I think we watched premiere together, but I think that was
we did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. I think it like obviously them switching days like messed things up, otherwise we definitely would have.
Right.
But who knows what'll happen for next season.
And I was bummed, like, so when the season first started this past season, so season 4, we were like, I had live TV, but then something happened with the streaming service we were using, and like we were sharing it, splitting it with a friend of ours. Well, because the friend who had the account was in a different zip code, like they stopped letting us because they're really trying to crack down on that. And like, well, we're paying for it, so it's like, yeah. So that was a whole big deal. So we ended up losing our live TV for that. So I wasn't able to watch live anymore. So then I was lucky. I'm like, if I'm lucky, I can watch it the next day. But sometimes it was like watching just a couple hours before like we recorded. I was like,
that's my regular thing, was watching a couple.
Right. Yeah.
I worked most nights and I had school, and yeah, it's hard to keep up sometimes, with other life, but you do it because you love it. It's just
right.
Yeah.
And we love it. And we also love like the feedback from all you guys who are listening, like letting us know how you found the podcast and how you love the podcast. It like really means the world to us. I know Katie does her best when she sees stuff to let us know, because we don't always see it on the pages. And so it's just really awesome and encouraging for us to know that we're doing something you guys are really enjoying.
Right. I love it because like a lot of times I will get them on my personal social media. I know I got like another one another day. Somebody got confused of like they thought I lived in New York City, and I was like, I don't. And they're like, oh, I must have misheard because I thought you did. And I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I definitely didn't say that, but I do still live in New York. And then they're like,
I think a lot of people forget that it's separate. Like you can have New York without having New York City.
Right.
Like
you guys know that's one of my pet peeves. I really hate it, and a lot of people like upstate New Yorkers like hate it because like literally it's mostly from people that are like out of state. They literally think that New York City and like the rest of New York is like right next to each other, when that's definitely not the
big
case.
state.
Yeah. And they're very different. So like
yeah.
But like then they were like, oh, but I love the podcast, and I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And I also love that we implemented Discord. I think that was a really awesome idea to kind of have. I wish I could be on it more than I used to, but life happened. But I'm glad for those that are on there and having conversations. And I did just add an RIP Gabriel Reyes thread so we can vent about it, because I'm like, we need it.
I also was like, guys, I'm gonna be sending so many Gabriel edits on here. Like, sorry, but like you have to go watch them, because I've seen like a couple, like one of my like mutuals like posted one, and I was like, oh my god, this wrecked me, but also like this is the best thing ever. So that's how I will be implementing that. So don't hate me.
And it's funny because like when I was growing up, going to like in my creative writing class, they told us never all of a sudden just like write a story and then just say and they woke up in the end. I just read a fan fiction that kind of did that, and it was like Carlos was seeing his dad, like his dad hadn't really passed away, he was just like had to fake his death, and then Carlos woke up, and I was like,
I've done that, I'm not gonna lie.
It works in fan fiction. It doesn't work in any like not real stories, but like published stories.
If you do that in a show or an actual published story, people will hate you. That's why it doesn't work.
Yes, right.
Like,
but yes, fan fiction we can get away with a little more.
I've done that. I love it. That's like my favorite ploy to do that I've done in stories. When I was more active with writing.
Because you will make people suffer.
No, I love doing that because I love doing it like the end of a chapter, being like, the person collapses, say, and then then you get to the next chapter and it's like, oh, it's just a dream.
Right.
I've done it multiple times.
Yeah. Speaking of fan fiction, I have to admit, I haven't again been on there as much, but the Carlos thread on AO3 is like getting big. And I was like, I got really into this one story. I think it had been completed by the time I found it. And I was like, okay, it had a major character death at the end of the story and they didn't tag it. And I was like, I don't tend to read those, only because I'm like, I've had enough death in my life. I don't need to deal with that. I've lost my mom and my dad and several friends and family members. I'm good. Like, yeah. I was just not happy about that. But there is some amazing fan fiction out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I will follow down the rabbit hole once in a while, as my friends and I will say.
I know. I don't know. Like, because I've been reading are like crack ships recently.
Oh my God.
Like ships that literally don't exist. But like some of them aren't like complete crack ships. They're like, man, if they made this a thing, I would ship it.
Mhm.
Like kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the one thing that does drive me nuts with fanfics is like when people like I've noticed this a lot where people will literally tag it under Tarlos, but literally Tarlos isn't in it at all, and that makes me
Right.
so mad. That's so misleading. And they'll do it with like it doesn't matter if it's OG or Lone Star, they'll literally do it just because they know it'll reach more people, and that is so annoying. Like that's no.
Yeah. I'm someone who tags really accurately as much as I can.
Right.
Mm.
And like it's hard because I have written several stories before that. Not necessarily in Lone Star or 901, but several stories before that I know are for a smaller audience. They're not going to reach many people, and it's tempting to try and sneak some tags in there to bring in more people, but I'm also like, okay, I know I would hate someone for doing that. So
Right.
I don't do it.
Yeah,
And that
I mean,
also kind of ensures that it reaches the niche of people that I want to reach instead of people
Right.
that would be mad because it doesn't have it. But yeah,
well, and I can understand. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go on.
I was gonna say I can understand like tagging like Jed and Grace if they're gonna be a relationship in the story, but it depends on how. Like if they're just gonna be a background character to the story, they really don't need to be in there. Obviously, you could say like mentions of,
Right.
or find a way to do it. But yeah, I can understand that. The buddy tag has like 20,000 stories.
Oh yeah, you know what also drives me nuts about like things on AO3? I feel like this shouldn't be an option, but you can literally, so if you look for the earliest story, you can literally like make it so like Buddy wasn't even in long wasn't a thing here. But you
Right.
can literally say that like this story was written in 2003. Okay, that shouldn't be an option. You shouldn't be
Right.
able to like back tag something because
Yeah.
I was trying to read like the earliest Buddy fic and also the earliest Tarlos fic. The Tarlos one I think was accurate, but the Buddy one was like saying that it was written like 2004 or something, and I was like, bullshit. Buddy wasn't even a thing back then. Obviously, it's bullshit.
Right.
The show started in 2018, guys.
Yeah.
Or at least I think it did. Like
it did.
Yes.
But Buddy didn't come into play until 2019, obviously.
Because Eddie wasn't in the show then.
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. I love Tarlos, I love Buddy, and I love fanfiction. I don't read Tarlos or Buddy fanfiction much, simply because I've kind of been driven away by a lot of recurring themes. Like, it's not worth my peace sometimes to even wading through all the fics that I don't like to find a fic that I do. Because I am reading summaries, I'm reading tags to see what I like.
Yeah.
And even with all of the, exclude tags that I throw in there or include tag like filters that I throw, it just sometimes just reading the summaries drains my peace, drains my tolerance. And so I'm like, you know what? I'll just stay in my own little niche of reading and writing my own fan fiction. Because that way I don't get mad at myself. Or if I do, then I can only be mad at myself.
Right. Yeah. And my so I'll read a fic if somebody suggested it. I noticed this. It's like I know people will make videos that are like, oh, these are my recommendations for like buddy fics or like whatever it may be. And I'm like, if somebody suggests something, I will definitely read it. But like I haven't like gone through like the tag and stuff and like looked through something I wanted to read in a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been doing as much fan fiction writing as I'm trying to publish my original fiction right now. So getting my book edited and formatted so I can publish it has been draining, and I've had a lot of things going on and 2-week road trips and stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I have a goal that I'm going to get it done by the end of the summer. And so I'm going to stick with that, chug along as much as I can. But I want to get back into writing because I have like so many ideas of things I could do. I mean, we have 4 seasons of Lone Star now, so it's not like we don't have content. And
we have a lot of content. We have a lot of stuff to work with now.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I get so many ideas, but then like I don't actually follow through. I literally, I don't, this was for a different show, but I was like, I'd love to see this. And I was like, I'd write the fanfic, but it's like, Katie, would you? Would you
Would
write
you?
the
Yeah.
fanfic?
Right.
That's what I have to say to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I know, and I think that's the fear is like we have so many ideas, and there's so many great ideas out there. But you're right, Grace. Like weeding through some of them, and I know a lot of people like do different challenges, like 100-word challenges and stuff like that on Tumblr and stuff. Then they publish it on AO3, which is awesome. But not really sure I'm up for reading just some really short like paragraph.
I don't read short stuff. I'll read a longer one shot. I'll read a chapter stuff, but I don't find it worth my time to go in and read a lot of like 100-word.
Yeah.
See, we're a bit different people because I hate like really, really, really lengthy chapters. Like I think they're just very like if it's like super long, I'm probably not going to read it because it's literally going to take me 5 sitting. It's different when you're reading a book and the book one chapter might be 15 pages. Like that's one thing, but when you're reading a fanfic, I don't want one thing to be like one chapter to be like 5,000 words. Like, no, thank you. So like I don't mind short as long as there's like a bunch of chapters. I don't mind like shorter chapters. Like, no, do I really want to read a paragraph? Probably not. But like as long as not every chapter is a paragraph.
Yeah. Like I will read a 64 chapter fan fiction if it's only like if it's a decent reading length, like a shorter, like it doesn't take me too long to get through the chapters. We're not talking a paragraph. We're talking like maybe would amount to like 3 pages on Google Doc or something. Probably a little bit longer. That's a decent chapter for me. If I'm reading like a 5 chapter fic and it's like a heavier one, I will take those longer chapters.
Right.
But there's definitely a balance, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I try to not read stuff that's not finished.
I will read stuff that's not finished if it's recent.
If it's recent and it's being consistently updated, that's true.
Yeah, if I'm reading something from 2019 and it's not updated, it's not completed, then I know I'm going to get my heart broke because it won't be updated. Says she who has stuff from 2020 that probably will not be finished. And I want to finish it, but my hyperfixations will not let me. I'm currently hyperfixated on Supernatural, and so I'm writing Supernatural fics. What is happening to the rest of my fiction? I don't know.
Yeah, girl, we're gonna have to chat more. So here we went on a tangent about fan fiction. I did not expect us to.
I don't remember what we were talking about.
But I love it, and you guys, just communicating, keeping us posted on like what you like and don't like. And Katie's been awesome with getting like Google Forms out, so we have like the responses you guys are giving us is pretty awesome too. It's really cool to read those at the end of the episodes.
Honestly, Katie's the real MVP. She's running socials, she's running editing, she's running like public relations.
I feel that way because it's funny because like I'll go through all like the TikTok trends and be like, wait, what could I do with this? Then I do it. And like I do it for my own self, so now I'm trying to do it for like the podcast because obviously I want to grow it everywhere. And
girl, I don't have your energy. I don't.
I know. It's fun. It's a little fun thing.
So we've talked a little past and we talked a little present, but what are our future goals for the podcast? Does anybody want to start?
Oh my, okay, like dream big. That's what I say. I want
dream big.
I want to literally. I want the cast to come on. My big dream is like Rafa because I've never.
We've never met him.
Grace and I have never met him. So
EJ's gotten to.
I dream about being able to have Rafa on the podcast. I mean, Ronan too.
If we could have the both of them,
I want a Tarlos podcast. Okay, I want the Tarlos podcast to have Tarlos on the podcast.
Oh my god, that'd be like a 4-hour podcast. We would take so long.
Be like, how long do you guys have?
How long do we have to pay for? Because we all know that's what that's coming down to.
I don't think so.
Not necessarily. I with the connections I've been starting to make in different public image fields, there's ways of connecting with them and they don't often require payment. They have to be they can't be contractually obligated to avoid something like that. I know sometimes if the actors are on a current series, they can't not do necessarily a fan thing for that series. unless it's like sanctioned by their the company or the producers. But I'm
we need
working
to
on that.
Buddy with Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I've followed other TV podcasts and they've had plenty of the people on.
Right.
So I think it's more like if they can make it work and they, you know, because obviously, you know, dream big. That's what I say.
Amen. Yeah.
Dream
no,
big.
I agree. That's one of my dreams to have the cast on.
We're here. We're not planning on going anywhere.
Amen.
So we got time.
Yeah, even like obviously I'm dreaming very big with all those. Even if it was starting with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would be so down.
I'd also be down from having anyone from 911 to come on too.
Yeah.
Like I know we're technically Lone Star, but we're both. We've talked about both. So I'd be down from having anyone from OG. They might be a little harder to go on, but
I feel like and honestly the way
because a lot of those are bigger names.
Not even that. I don't know. People Lone Star and OG give me different vibes. Like I don't this is being I'm like I honestly don't think they would ever do any like fan related things like they've done for Lone Star because like the cast just gives off that energy. Like not in a bad way. I don't know. Like
they've got different relations with fans. That's for certain.
Yeah, they're not as I think this is like one of the major reasons why I've always connected with Lone Star more because you definitely can tell that they're more active with the fans and like not that like the OG cast doesn't appreciate their fans. I just feel like you can tell more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, and up until recently, there's been less of the 911 cast online because Kenneth Choi only recently got, I believe, an Instagram and a TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And so
he would
Ryan
be the one too, if anybody would.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, out there
because I know Ryan and Oliver's been off and on, and so is Ryan, and then Peter's not on there. The Queen has been on there. Wow, I'm totally blanking on her name.
I was like, which one?
I was like, are we talking Aisha? Are we talking Angela?
Yeah, I was like, which one? Aisha
Those are the queens that
Angela?
My head.
Aisha is more like princess, and Bess is more like the queen. But yeah, I feel like less of them have been as active on social media, and I know that the 911 Lone Star cast is extremely active on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if we just continue with like trying to reach out and connect, I'm doing some sleuthing and trying to figure out if I can get an account on IMDb, the professional one.
Oh my god, this girl I know just got one from the like Lone Star fandom. She's like, yeah, I got one, and she's like, yeah, I got one. It was worth it.
Nice. Yeah. So I feel like that's closer than we think, maybe. I'm working on connecting with some friends to help me with it, so I want it to happen, and I'm going to try and make it happen.
I know, dream big, manifest good things, like
and I definitely want to have more of our friends on here. I know we've talked in the past about having friends on and not really knowing how that's going to look.
I know, because we have such a good like dynamic. I was gonna say dynamic duo, but it's a dynamic trio.
Dynamic trio.
We just have we have
terrific trio.
Yeah, exactly. We just have a really good dynamic. So it is weird, but it's worked out in the past. So like, it also depends on the person, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, and we'll definitely, I think, finish up probably the last half of this most recent 911 season. So I don't think we've talked about it yet on here.
No.
I don't think so, no. I still have not watched the second half.
Oh no. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah.
I've been so busy, man. I've barely been able to watch the Lone Star stuff that we needed
to talk about. Yeah.
The podcast. Like I love 911. I just haven't, and every time I hear something about it, I'm like less encouraged to, because I'll be honest, I've only really heard negative things.
Oh,
yeah, I just haven't heard negative things. That discourages me. So, I'm sure it's a lot better than what I've heard.
Yes,
but
I know.
But I just haven't heard that much, and I have so much going on in my life right now. You'd think graduating would have made things less stressful. Nope.
Nope. But we have a new profile photo that Katie made
We
for us.
do.
I
love
know. Yeah,
And-
it's funny because like I had been thinking about it for a while, and I know I was making little hints. I was being a little rodent because I was like, "Oh, the Tarlos podcast." I was like, "Yeah, that's gonna be great for later."
Mhm.
And it was so funny because I was like acting like hard into the sense that like I was like on my Instagram story and I was like, I'm working on things.
it. Yeah.
Mhm.
He would be proud. He would.
At least we don't have to worry too much about you going to spoiler jail, though.
At least there's that.
Yeah, I promise if we ever had spoilers, I would not spill. Your secret is safe with me. You can tell us.
Yes. Yeah, which is it's cool because though for Grace and I we can't watch live, so then at least we can give us heads up on things that like happen that might be triggering, which is good.
Right. And yeah, I try to do that for like everyone
Yeah.
and stuff. Like I'm so used to like spoiler warnings because like when I post videos of like live reactions like mine, I always like it's like spoiler warning or like it'll be like the title of it for like the first few seconds of like the video. So like I'm just very good at that by now.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I feel like so we've done our 100, and I feel like you've got another 100 more in us.
Oh,
Only
yeah.
imagine how many hours we'll be talking.
So many.
But I could not imagine doing this with anybody else. So I am grateful to have you guys on this journey with me. And I think we
Same.
are only going to have more fun as the future moves forward. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how things go. I know there's a lot of questions about when the series is coming back because of writer's strike, but only time will tell.
Right.
And we will definitely keep you posted on our socials as to what we hear and what we know.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Again, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So
Agreed.
Minus hiatus.
I was like,
Minus
we might take a
hiatus.
little bit of break for the summer, but
we need a break. I need a break.
yeah.
Oh
Need a
yeah,
break.
I know.
That doesn't work like that. Yeah. But
So do your best to keep your thoughts coming too for like different episode ideas. You know, we have that. I think there's a whole section in our Discord server all for like ideas for podcast episodes.
Right.
So like definitely give us some ideas if there's something specific you guys want us to talk about.
Right.
We
Yeah.
wanted to keep this one to be kind of more condensed, but also like kind of just a chill chat about the last 100 episodes and us. But we have a lot of ideas too, and we're slowly implementing them. So you know, maybe one day your idea will come to fruition on the podcast. Who knows?
Oh yeah. We love talking over the ideas, be like, maybe we can put this in somewhere.
Right, yeah, because a lot of people have good ideas, but they're not necessarily like what we want to do for like because obviously there's always a certain vision we want for like certain things. And we're like, well, this would be really good for like, you know, like this time of year or be good like, you know, later when we literally have no content, which is going to literally come up depending what happens.
Yeah.
And stuff like when we want to obviously be recording, but we're like, what the heck do we talk about? Like that'll come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah, because we definitely don't want to like just do episodes to do them. We want to have some content for them, and
we want to be enthusiastic about them too.
Yeah,
we want to sit down and be like, yes, we get to talk about this today.
Right. Yeah, and I think we're gonna have a lot more. And I know, like, I'm sure the cast has stuff doing. Like, I know recently Rafa, Sierra, Natasha, and Ronan were in Paris again for another DreamCon in-person convention. So there's been all that, and we've learned a lot from that stuff, which was cool. From like, thank you to whoever attends and like takes notes, because a lot of people don't. And it's cool to see like the little notes that you get from them, because you know, right now out of the country is slim to none for me right now. It's like that's a little bit too much money for me.
It's way too much money. Like I was literally like talking with people because they're like, man, like I wish they would just do a convention here. I'm like, literally, because like literally a flight there like is literally like $1,500. I know of people that went to literally from the US, like, and I'm like, and honestly I don't think some of them are like, yeah, recommend.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
know-
I mean, there's certain places I want to visit, but I don't know if I could swing it and do the convention.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
convention's already expensive enough, which is why it would be, even if it was somewhere in the States, not necessarily, if it was like near, even anywhere in the United States would be cheaper than that.
Oh yeah. I know I'm going overseas next year for an event, but that's going to be to the UK. And like, even if that was happening over there in the time frame I'm going over, like I have the money for that.
Right.
And I have no idea where I'm going to be job wise by then. And it's just,
Right.
it's not super realistic. And
Yeah.
I'm already planning to make a stopover when I'm over there anyway. So it's like, it's a whole thing.
Right.
So it just isn't really realistic.
Yeah. Which, and amen, I'm really happy that there has been a lot of, fans that are been able to make it. And I know the
for
guys
sure.
are always encouraged when they see everybody. And I love seeing all the photos of everybody. So I'm like, I'm really happy for you guys that are getting to meet them. I'm like, one day I will meet them in person. One day.
Oh yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe we should do like a Lone Star Roundup podcast, like convention.
I know.
Oh, I know who could afford it.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk for hours, and I think we're going to wrap it up here because I know we are getting close to our hour, and I don't know. I don't know what else we could talk about, but I'm sure we could say one word, and like the next thing you know, we're on this other tangent for like an hour. So
Yeah, we can
I
save
think
it
we're
for the
gonna-
next.
Cue
Yes.
6
For
hours
the
before
next
tangent.
chill podcast.
there you go. We'll do that. We'll save it for the next one. So thank you guys so much for listening to us and joining us for this past 100 episodes. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasters. You can also find us on Apple and Google Podcasts and other places you get your podcasts. On iTunes and Spotify, please rate us and leave us a review. It means a lot to us. Don't forget, you can follow us on our socials at 911LS Roundup on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our Discord server link will be in the description of the podcast and also in our Instagram bio.
You guys can follow me, Katie F. Love Tarlos on Instagram and TikTok.
You guys can follow me, Grace, at RonanRafflan911 on Instagram and at SheepGirl31 on Twitter.
You can follow me, EJ, at EJ8302 on Instagram and Twitter.
Bye.